Why do most people fail before they even start? It's not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity. It's because they approach life expecting to lose. Fear of failure kills more dreams than failure itself. But what if I told you that there's a simple mental shift that can make defeat impossible? A mindset so powerful that every action feels like a guaranteed win. Listen closely. The greatest victories in history were not won by those who hoped to win. They were won by those who acted as if winning was the only outcome. Confidence is not a gift you're given, it's a state you choose. And when you decide that you can outlose, your mind begins to work like a magnet, pulling every resource, every idea, every opportunity toward you. Do you know why most people never even start on their dreams? It's because they have already lost their minds before they take the first step. They approach every goal, every opportunity, every challenge with a question, what if I fail? And that single question destroys more dreams than failure ever could. But what if I told you there's a principle that flips the entire game in your favor? A principle that makes winning your natural state. That principle is assumption, the act of stepping into your vision and behaving as though it's already true. This is where it all begins, in your mind. Because the world doesn't move for those who hesitate, it moves for those who command it with certainty. And certainty is not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide. Acting as if you cannot lose is not arrogance, it's alignment. Alignment with your goal, your purpose, and your ultimate destiny. When you assume victory, you train your mind to reject every image of defeat. You close the door in doubt and leave no escape route for fear. Think about it. Every action you take today is a reflection of what you believe about tomorrow. If you believe you might fail, you will act timidly, hold back your energy, second, guess your choices, and eventually, your hesitation becomes the very cause of your failure. But when you move as if the outcome is guaranteed, your behavior changes instantly. You move with confidence, you speak with conviction, and you attract people, ideas, and resources that align with that energy. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is not sitting in a corner, hoping for life to get better. It is an active, deliberate mental state that says, this is mine. This is happening. This is inevitable. And here's the truth. Your subconscious mind doesn't argue with consistency. Whatever you repeatedly assume is true, it begins to accept reality. It starts finding ways to make that assumption real in the physical world. Consider this: the greatest leaders, innovators, and creators of history were not the ones who waited for signs of success before they acted. They assumed success first, and then they acted in harmony with that belief. They didn't approach the world timidly, saying, I hope this works. They declared, this will work because I have decided it will. That is the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary. When you assume victory, your energy changes. People feel it. They are drawn to you because confidence is magnetic. Doors open because confidence speaks a language the world understands. And the best part, you don't have to wait for perfect conditions to start. You don't need every question answered, every risk eliminated. You just need one decision to carry yourself like a winner from the very beginning. The opposite is also true. When you assume defeat, even silently, your mind begins to gather evidence to support that belief. You will notice obstacles more than opportunities. You will hesitate when action is needed. You will doubt when certainty is required. That is why assumption is so powerful. It programs the mind to focus on victory, not defeat. Now, ask yourself, how would you act today if you knew success was inevitable? What decisions would you make? How much more boldly would you move forward? That is the standard you must live by every single day. Not when things are easy, not when everything is lined up perfectly, but now, especially now, when the outcome seems uncertain. When you act as if you cannot lose, fear loses its grip on you. Doubt becomes irrelevant. Failure stops being an option. Not because the path is smooth, but because you have decided that nothing can stop you. And that decision is the foundation of every victory that has ever been won. Confidence. That single word determines whether you rise or fall, whether you conquer your dream or surrender it before you even start. Yet, here is the truth that most people never understand. Confidence is not something you are given. It is not something that magically appears when the conditions are perfect. Confidence is a choice, a decision you make before you have all the answers, before you see the results, before anyone else believes in you. Most people are waiting for evidence before they believe. They say, "I'll feel confident once I see proof." But let me ask you, how do you ever see proof if you never start? How can you have evidence when you never take action? Confidence is not the result of success. It is the cause of it. Every great achievement, every powerful breakthrough you've ever heard about started with someone who had no guarantees, no security, no certainty, except for the certainty they created within themselves. Doubt is the silent killer. It whispers in your ear, "What if you fail? What if you're not ready? What if people laugh at you?" And the moment you listen, you lose your power, because doubt never travels alone. It brings hesitation, and hesitation brings inaction. And inaction, that is the fastest way to kill a dream. Not because the dream wasn't possible, but because you didn't move when you had the chance. Confidence, on the other hand, does the exact opposite. It gives birth to momentum, and momentum is magic. Momentum turns small steps into giant leaps. It transforms tiny efforts into massive results. The moment you decide to trust yourself, even when you have no visible reason to, everything starts to shift. You speak differently, you walk differently. People feel it, they sense it, they respond to it. And here's the incredible part. They start to believe in you because you believed in yourself first. Think about the most successful people you know. Are they the smartest, the most talented, the most prepared? No. Many of them started with less than you have right now. The difference wasn't resources, it was confidence. They acted boldly when others were waiting for permission. They stepped forward when everyone else stood still. They didn't need a sign from the universe, they became the sign. And that confidence created opportunities that would never have existed if they had waited for certainty. Now, let me tell you something about doubt. It disguises itself as logic. It tells you to be realistic. It says, wait until the timing is perfect. It convinces you that playing small is safer than aiming big. But here's the truth. It is never the right time. Conditions will never be perfect. And playing small is the most dangerous thing you can do because it guarantees one thing: regret. Confidence is not built by sitting and thinking. It is built by moving forward despite the voice of fear. Every time you take a step in faith, even a small one, you build a little more strength, a little more belief. And then something happens. You start to see results. And those results create more confidence, which creates more action, and the cycle continues. That is how confidence compounds. But if you wait for confidence before you move, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. You have to make the decision to act first. You have to say, I may not have all the answers, but I refuse to let doubt decide my destiny. That single decision puts you ahead of 90% of the world because most people are paralyzed by doubt. And here's the most powerful thing about confidence. It does not come from being fearless. It comes from feeling the fear and moving anyway. It comes from looking doubt in the face and saying, you do not control me. Fear will always be there. Doubt will always try to whisper, but confidence is your weapon. And the moment you pick it up, the game changes. The truth is, the person who acts with confidence, even when they know less, even when they have less experience, will always outperform the person who hesitates because of doubt. Why? Because action creates results, and results attract success. Confidence wins not because it eliminates risk, but because it eliminates paralysis. Everything changes the moment you decide. Not when you hope, not when you wish, not when you sit around waiting for the stars to align. The moment of transformation begins the second you make a firm decision and back it with relentless action. Until then, nothing happens. Opportunity can be standing right in front of you. Success can be knocking at your door. But if you don't make a decision to open that door and step through, it means nothing. Indecision is the enemy of progress. It kills dreams silently. People don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they lack resources. They fail because they never fully commit. They stay stuck in the land of maybe. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe I'll try when I feel ready. Maybe I'll do it when the timing is right. And guess what? That day never comes, because maybe is the language of failure, and hesitation is its best friend. Winners understand something most people never do. Every great achievement begins with a clear decision. Not a half-hearted, I'll see how it goes, but a full commitment. I will do this, no matter what. That decision has power. It creates a shift inside you. It tells your mind, we are moving forward, and there is no turning back. And when your mind knows there is no escape route, it begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. But let's be honest, decision alone isn't enough. You can decide all day long, and nothing will change until you act. The world doesn't respond to intention, it responds to execution. You can dream, visualize, affirm, but until your feet move, until your hands work, until you take that first step, nothing in your life will transform. The problem is, most people are waiting for motivation before they act. They think they need to feel ready, to feel inspired, to feel fearless. That's a lie. Motivation comes after you move, not before. Action creates energy. Action creates confidence. Action creates clarity. You don't wait for the perfect plan, you build the plan as you go. The road reveals itself to the person who walks, not to the person who stands still and waits for a map. And here's something you need to understand. The longer you wait to act, the weaker your decision becomes. Every second of hesitation gives fear more time to grow. Every moment you delay gives doubt more power. That's why you must move immediately. When you decide, act fast. Don't give your brain a chance to talk you out of it. Don't let the voice of fear catch up to you. The faster you move, the stronger your belief becomes, and the more unstoppable your momentum gets. Think about every success story you admire. They didn't start with certainty. They didn't start with perfect conditions. They didn't have all the answers. But they made a decision and then they acted again and again and again. They failed. They stumbled. They got back up. But they kept moving. And that persistence, that refusal to stop, is what built their success. You see, decision and action work together like fire and fuel. One without the other is useless. A decision without action is just a wish. Action without decision is chaos. But when you combine a firm decision with consistent action, you become unstoppable. Because now, you're not waiting for life to happen. You are making life happen. And let me tell you something powerful. Every time you act, you strengthen your decision. Every small step reinforces the message to your mind that this is real, that this is happening. And the more you act, the easier it becomes. Momentum takes over. What once felt impossible starts to feel natural. And that's when the game changes. But remember, the hardest step is always the first one. That's where most people quit before they even begin. They overthink. They overanalyze. They talk themselves out of their own destiny. Don't be that person. Be the one who decides and then moves forward with everything you've got, because life doesn't wait for the indecisive. Opportunities don't sit around forever. They go bold. They go to the ones who are willing to bet on themselves when no one else will. Failure. That single word has paralyzed more people than any obstacle in the world. But here's the truth, failure is not real. It is an illusion, a trick of the mind, a shadow that only exists because you allow it to. What most people call failure is nothing more than a temporary result, a stepping stone, feedback from life telling you what to adjust. Yet, so many give up because they believe failure is final. They accept it as the end instead of understanding it as part of the process. Every time you try something and it doesn't work, what does your mind do? It says, "You've failed. You're not good enough. You should stop." But ask yourself, is that really true? Or is it just a story you've been taught to believe? Because if failure were real, how do you explain every great success story? Every inventor, every leader, every pioneer has faced countless setbacks. If failure was final, we wouldn't have electricity, we wouldn't have airplanes, we wouldn't have the technology in your hands right now. The people who gave us these things refused to believe in failure. They understood something most people never will. Failure is only permanent if you quit. When you act as if you cannot lose, something incredible happens. You stop labeling setbacks as failures. You see them for what they are, lessons. Every so-called failure carries a gift, a clue, a piece of information that moves you closer to success if you're willing to learn from it. The problem is, most people never look for the lesson. They take the hit, feel the pain, and walk away. And in doing so, they give power to an illusion. You have to reframe what failure means to you. It is not a sign to stop, it is a signal to grow. It is life saying, "There's a better way. Try again." The truth is, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. As long as you keep moving, as long as you keep adapting, as long as you keep learning, every setback is temporary. The only real failure is surrender, the moment you decide to stop trying. Here's what most people never realize. Every time you fail, you become stronger. You learn something you didn't know before. You develop resilience. You sharpen your strategy. You grow into the kind of person who can handle the success you're chasing. That's why failure is an illusion, because it's not the opposite of success, it's part of success. It is woven into the journey. You cannot separate the two. Every great achievement carries the fingerprints of countless attempts that didn't work. Now think about this. What would happen if you stopped fearing failure? What would happen if you embraced it? If you looked at every setback and said, "Good, this is my teacher. This is making me better." That single mindset shift will make you unstoppable, because fear will no longer have a grip on you. Fear only controls those who run from it. But when you turn and face it, when you strip failure of its power, there is nothing left to hold you back. The reason most people never reach their dreams is not because they fail too much. It's because they interpret failure the wrong way. They see it as a verdict instead of a lesson. They see it as punishment instead of progress. And because of that, they quit long before the breakthrough. The reality is, the more you fail, the closer you get. Every attempt, every mistake, every wrong turn eliminates what doesn't work and points you toward what does. That's the process. That's the price of mastery. You want to know who the most dangerous person in the world is? The one who has nothing to lose because they don't believe in losing. The one who looks at failure and laughs because they know it's just part of the game. That person cannot be stopped because nothing breaks them. Every hit they take only makes them stronger. Every setback becomes fuel. And the reason they win, eventually, inevitably, is because they refuse to give failure any power. The truth is, failure only exists in your mind. It's a label you choose to put on an experience. Remove the label, and it becomes something else: growth, wisdom, experience, preparation. That's all it is. So why fear it? Why run from it? Why let it dictate the size of your dreams? The people who accomplish the impossible are the ones who decided that failure is not real, that it's nothing more than a detour on the way to destiny. So, what does all of this mean for you? It means the battle is not out there. It's in here, in your mind. Victory doesn't begin when you achieve your goal. It begins the moment you decide that losing is not an option. When you choose to act as if you cannot lose, you unlock a force that most people never experience. You've learned the power of assumption, owning the result in your mind before it exists in reality. You've understood why confidence must crush doubt, because hesitation is the silent thief of success. You've seen that decision without action is nothing, and that the bold move forward is what separates winners from the rest. And you've discovered the ultimate truth: failure is an illusion. It has no power except the power you give it. So I have one question for you. What will you do now? Will you go back to waiting, doubting, hesitating? Or will you step forward with the certainty of someone who knows that victory is inevitable? Because here's the reality: the world will move for the one who moves with conviction. The opportunities you want are waiting for you, but they won't wait forever. Decide, act, persist. Assume the outcome, crush your doubt, and never believe the lie of failure. Do this, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you.